A Murder of Quality is available on video from selected stores at £10.99.
We continue this New Year's Eve with the late night news from ITN, read by Dermot Monaghan in just a moment.
You know, I can still remember the very first sweets given to me by my grandfather. They were Werther's Original, and I was poor. I had a bit of trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and uncommonly good. I remember feeling I must be someone very special when my granddad gave me his wonderful butter candy. Well, now I'm the granddad. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? After all, he's someone very special too, you know.
Would you like to improve your needlecraft? Now you can with Discovering Needlecraft, a new fortnightly publication that gives you easy-to-understand instructions which help you progress from the simplest things to the more complicated techniques. Each issue comes with instructions for 4 projects, plus all the materials you need to help you complete one. There's even a 48-hour discount mail order service for all your materials. So get Discovering Needlecraft and see what you can do with a little inspiration.
With summer holidays from only £89, Enterprise Price Busters could save you a fortune. Enterprise, will make your money go further.
Hiya, it's me again. There's a lot of surprises, so come on in. There's fantastic bargains on over 200 famous name beds. This one's half price and only £189. And amazing bargains on over 3,000 carpets, many at half price. So get down to Allied this week and really surprise yourself.
Defining that Guinness original taste.
Could it taste like freshly broken icicles cascading onto black silk, my love?
Guinness original taste.
Announcing the opening of Somewhere Exclusive, a place where you can relax in comfort, enjoy the latest refinements, be entertained and feel refreshed. It's called the Fiesta Meridian, available in 2 metallic colours, Aquafoam or Nouveau Red. The new Fiesta Meridian. It's exclusive, but at just £7,495 on the road, it's not too exclusive. Southern Ford dealers.
Oh, it's essential now. It was a luxury before we got it, but it's definitely an essential now.
I used to do the washing up before we had a dishwasher, and it took an hour and a half. It was hellish.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, these days we don't fight about it. We used to always argue about who was doing the dishes.
Now I've got a complete monopoly.
Yeah, so we spend our time arguing about other issues rather than who does the dishes.
For all your creature comforts, Dishwash Electric.
There you are, sir. A holiday for 2 to Egypt and a discount of £100.
Oh, Mummy will be pleased.
Yes! Yes!
Cadbury's Twirl. 2 folded fingers coated in delicious Cadbury's chocolate. Take 5 for a Cadbury's Twirl.
At the 3rd stroke, the time will be 6 o'clock precisely.
The team, Mike Debbons and Alison Holloway. They'll be bringing a new meaning to local news, reporting on what's important to you as it happens, the things that affect your life in your area, bringing local news closer and closer to your home.
New Year's Eve to remember as TVS goes out with a bang.
It's been great.
God, wish you all well. Cheers.
Goodbye to all that, tonight at 10:45 on TVS.
And before we say goodbye, over to the studios of ITN for the late night news.
Good evening, this is the news from ITN. Tonight's headlines. Sarajevo tells UN chief we need military help now. The moment a lion pounced on London Zoo's unwelcome intruder. The brave face of a Christmas Day rape victim. And it's goodbye from them as ITV faces the big change round. The besieged people of Sarajevo today made it clear that international military action in Bosnia could not come too soon. The UN Secretary-General Dr. Boutros Ghali was jeered and spat at when he arrived in the city. He said negotiations were still the best hope for peace. Tonight, the leader of the Bosnian Serbs, Radovan Karadzic, wrote to John Major, saying he was grounding his forces' fixed-wing aircraft. But he said helicopters will operate, which means the UN may still enforce a ban on all flights.
It was the Secretary-General's first visit to the besieged capital of Sarajevo. At the Bosnian presidency, he met Vice President Eyüp Ganic. He explained the hardships being suffered here.
100,000 people disappeared.
But outside, the message was less diplomatic. 100 demonstrators chanted Boutros Ghali is a murderer, a fascist, a criminal, they said. They carried placards and surged forward to vent their anger on the man of peace who became the focal point for their frustration. The Secretary-General had no words to respond. At one of Sarajevo's main hospitals, he visited some of the city's most recent war casualties.
Happy New Year.
But at a press conference, the words were not so cheery.
Peace enforcement may be more terrible for everybody than what is going on. Let us give time to find a peaceful solution before thinking about something else.
The hopes of Mr. Boutros Ghali seem to hinge on the Geneva peace talks on January the 2nd. But those hopes are not shared by the Bosnian people here, because if they fail, they can only look forward to a new year filled with more death and desperation. Tony Bertley, ITN, Sarajevo.
A man has been savagely mauled after he climbed into the lions enclosure at London Zoo. Eyewitnesses say he'd been throwing food into the den before climbing in himself. You may find these pictures disturbing.
The man had climbed over a 25-foot protective netting to get into the lion's enclosure. Despite clear warnings posted around the compound and shouted pleas for him to get away, he remained until it was too late.
Oh my God. Oh no!
The shocking scenes that followed horrified onlookers. It took several minutes before an emergency response team could clear the compound and get to the man. Witnesses said he was both calm and determined to get closer to the animals.
He wanted to get in, so he got in. You know, if there was wire mesh over it, he'd have cut through that, wouldn't he? But no, he was very calm. Almost as if he could be friends with the lion, you know. I mean, he wasn't stabbing, it wasn't if he was drunk, and he wasn't shouting. You know, he didn't appear deranged in any way. He was very calm.
The zoo authorities are mystified as to why the man ignored warnings and entered the enclosure.
Somebody said to me earlier, was this a suicide attempt? Well, even if it wasn't an intentional one, it certainly would have had that effect in a very few minutes.
After treatment at the scene, the man was airlifted to the London hospital, where he's in a critical condition. Although he's been identified, his name isn't being released until relatives have been informed. Simon Cumbers, ITN, London Zoo.
20 New Year revellers are believed to have been trampled to death and 69 injured during celebrations in Hong Kong. The Governor of Hong Kong, Chris Patten, promised a full inquiry.
The accident happened just after midnight here as more than 15,000 people packed into the narrow streets of Hong Kong's trendy bar and restaurant area to see in the new year. Revellers rushed down a steep hillside street, and as hundreds slipped on cobblestones drenched with spilt beer, many were trampled to death and others were left lying seriously injured. Within minutes, police and ambulance staff were trying desperately to resuscitate the victims, who were mostly teenagers. 18 of the dead were local Chinese, and it's understood that 2 Britons were also among those killed. Mark Austin, ITN, Hong Kong.
President Bush has been visiting the American troops in Somalia. Tomorrow he goes to Baidoa, the so-called City of Death. His arrival coincided with the worst outbreak of fighting between rival clans since the Americans landed 3 weeks ago.
The fragile peace in Mogadishu was rudely shattered by a firefight between rival warlords on the outskirts of the city tonight, only hours after the arrival of President Bush. Artillery, mortars and machine guns are being used, but no members of the American-led multinational force are involved in the fighting. President Bush is not in any danger. He's overnighting aboard a US naval vessel off Mogadishu. The arrival of the president has put his personal seal on Operation Restore Hope, an exercise in military muscle for a humanitarian purpose.
I ought to be very proud of this significantly new role
And the pictures of you all caring for others come all around our country. This is, in a sense, a humanitarian mission.
Well done, President Bush, the children of Somalia were chanting today as the president went to a feeding station, a sentiment largely being echoed by relief workers who say the food is now getting through to the starving.
A 67-year-old woman who was raped on Christmas Day has taken the rare step of speaking publicly about the attack. Muriel Harvey hopes it will encourage people to come forward with information.
It was virtually a week ago when the attack took place as the 67-year-old church warden left midnight mass at Ludlow in Shropshire and headed for home in the early hours of Christmas Day. She was subjected to a 45-minute ordeal before the rapist released her. Today, the victim, a grandmother and former justice of the peace, took the extraordinary and courageous decision to go public in the hope her attacker would be quickly arrested.
As this has gone on over the last few days, I've been surprised at myself at why I have accepted this very calmly on the one side, but obviously very angrily on the other. And I feel very much happier when people, my family and my friends, gather around and say, "Oh, you are wonderful, how'd you do it?" Now, I feel great because they say that. And if I'd crept into a corner and whined and whimpered, which I think a lot of people perhaps very sadly feel they have to do, I'd have gone downhill and felt much worse.
Mrs. Harvey helped the police compile this artist's impression of the rapist. She's now hoping someone will come forward who knows him. Terry Lloyd, ITN, in the Midlands.
The biggest upheaval in the history of commercial television takes place at midnight tonight. 3 regional TV companies, Thames, TVS and TSW, were replaced after last year's franchise auction. This morning, TVAM ended its 10-year run.
As the minutes ticked away, TVAM's presenter Lorraine Kelly just couldn't keep her emotions hidden any longer.
Wishing as well. Well, it's high time we thanked you, the viewers, excuse me, for your loyalty.
But if there was any lingering sense of bitterness at their loss, the champagne soon washed it away.
I think today is a new day and let's look forward to new beginnings. I wish GMTV good luck.
GMTV, who take over from tomorrow, were putting the finishing touches to a programme which will differ only slightly from TVAM.
We think it's terribly important to keep faith with the TVAM viewers. After all, they didn't ask for the legislation that changed things, and we want them to feel familiar and happy with the programming that we're providing.
In Plymouth, staff at TSW, which also closes tonight, spent the day putting their final programme together before retiring to the bar for a last party. Thames Television, which lost its franchise to Carlton, will bow out tonight with a compilation of its finest programmes, some of which it will continue to make for the network as an independent producer. But even though many viewers won't notice much difference tomorrow, the fear in the industry is that the high prices paid by some successful franchise bidders could mean more ITV companies going the way of TVS, where tonight in Southampton they lowered the flag on 11 years of broadcasting.
And ITN and the ITV companies tonight signed a contract for ITN to provide the news for the commercial network for the next 5 years. The deal, worth more than £53 million a year, is the largest single contract of its kind. The last honours list before John Major launches a review into the system has rounded off a perfect year for one of Britain's top actors. Anthony Hopkins, who won an Oscar for playing Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, has been given a knighthood.
Though stars like Anthony Hopkins feature prominently in these honours, they've been included above all for their charity work. In his case, that includes helping young actors.
I've reached a stage in my life, I'm in a stage in my life where I've been realised that I'm looking back over the last 30 years of my acting life, that I've been very lucky, I've been very blessed.
And having fought cancer himself, Roy Castle receives an OBE for his tireless campaigning on behalf of other cancer victims.
It's a lovely feeling, isn't it? Especially when it highlights charities again.
Behind the scenes in television, LWT's chairman Christopher Bland is knighted for work with London hospitals. And ITN cameraman Nigel Thompson gets an OBE for his frontline footage from war zones, where he's twice been injured.
This battle has now been going on for almost 24 hours.
ITN reporter Paul Davis receives an OBE for his reporting from war zones.
Nearly 40 journalists have died in Yugoslavia, and countless have been injured, including many of my ITN colleagues. So if this award in any way reflects the fact that somebody thinks these people are doing quite a good job in unpleasant circumstances, well, that's very nice.
And that's it. I'll be back with more news from ITN just before midnight. Until then, goodbye.
Hello, good evening. Well, it's a very good time to look ahead, and as for the first weekend of 1993, weather-wise, it's a case of rain at times and windy weather in the very far northwest. Then further south, mainly dry with some sunny spells, but early fog could prove a bit of a problem. As for the very last night of 1992, well, later on we do expect the cloud to start breaking and mist and fog could well form. Now, what with temperatures down to -2, -3, that's the high 20s, obviously this will turn out to be freezing fog. If you are driving, do take it easy. Then later on in the night, we expect more cloud and general rain just to sweep into the very far northwest there. Going into tomorrow, that fog will tend to linger on in places, mainly Yorkshire, parts of the Midlands, central and the southeast of England, but it's a sunny start for the very far northwest. Later on, I'm afraid that cloud really does start piling up, some weak sunshine for Wales and the southwest, otherwise again that general rain and cloud for the far northwest. In terms of temperature, mild in the west, 10 in Northern Ireland is 50, positive spring-like, but then further south I'm afraid it will be colder, especially where that fog sticks. That's all from me. From all of us here at the ITV National Weather Team, a very happy New Year to you. Here's the summary.
Next on TVS, we bid you farewell and look back with Goodbye to All That.
Would you like to improve your needlecraft? Now you can with Discovering Needlecraft, a new fortnightly publication that gives you easy-to-understand instructions which help you progress from the simplest things to the more complicated techniques. Each issue comes with instructions for 4 projects, plus all the materials you need to help you complete one. There's even a 48-hour discount mail order service for all your materials. So get Discovering Needlecraft and see what you can do with a little inspiration.
Women. You see, the thing is, you gotta be real cool. Don't call them, just let them stew. What's that line from the old film?
Fanning the flames of desire with the bellows of indifference.
Nice one. Golden rule number 1. Treat them mean, keep them keen. Hello? Debbie! I was just thinking about you. I was gonna call. Sally, get up. What? No. She's a dog. No, a sort of terrier type thing. Debbie, listen to me.
Good evening, campers. This is the Panda Fire, yours for under £5,000. And this is the Uno Fire for under 6,000. But hurry, they're selling like hot crumpets. Fido? Fido.
Who cares enough about their film and film processing to promise you satisfaction every time or your money back? Who cares?
Hello, this new Hotpoint automatic, under £300. That Hoover washing machine, £50 off. This variable power Electrolux cleaner, £30 off. A Zanussi double oven cooker, under £500. This Toshiba Nikon stereo TV, £40 off. And that Sharp video, $279.99.
For huge sale savings and no charge for delivery, see Seaboard now.
If you're looking for a home, David Fold Property Management offer a wide range of properties to rent throughout Kent and Sussex, from a studio flat to a country estate. To find out more, call David Fold Property Management, Upper Stone Street, Maidstone, Maidstone 679 008.
Nobody can fail to find a bargain in our sale. You can all snap up a snip, courts you can. If you're chasing carpets, buying beds or new settees, you can plan a life of ease, courts you can. The choice is so diverse, something sure to suit your purse, at savings which are bigger than you thought. Court sale is unsurpassed, these bargains...
Court
sale on now, and we're open New Year's Day too.
And now from the studios of TVS we say goodbye to all that.